Mr. Speaker. It is a pleasure to be back into the House of Commons and to speak on behalf of my constituents of Peterborough, Kawartha, and I'm very, very honored to be supporting my colleague and my friend from Battleford's Lloydminster's Bill C-318, which I'm going to be speaking on today. Mr. Speaker, I am the critic for families, children, and social development, and since being elected, I've had the opportunity to speak to thousands of people across this country. And there's something that everyone in this House, I hope, knows, and that is our children are in a mental health crisis. There's no doubt about it. There's no denying it. It is everywhere you go. And the increase of neurodivergence, the increase of needs for our children is increasing as the cost of living is increasing and putting stress on parents. There's huge issues across this country in affordability and housing and mental health, and it's a spider web, and none of it can be separated. None of it can be treated one without the other. And so what happens so often in government on all levels is it is hard to start. How do you fix such significant, giant problems? And things like this private member's bill, what a private member's bill is, for people who don't know, it's a member in the House, and in this case, it's my colleague from Battleford's Lloydminster who put forward a bill to be passed on this House, to be passed through this House. And it's a tangible item that we can all work together on in this House across all party lines and approve it and make sure that it happens. It's something that starts the ball rolling. It's a tiny thing that will change the crisis that we are in. So what is it? It's a bill that pushes for adoptive and intended parents to have extended EI benefits. Many people don't know this, but adoptive and intended parents do not get the same EI benefits that other parents do. Why? I don't know that answer. It seems pretty silly when you say it out loud. It seems like a very common sense thing. 1 in 6 families in Canada are suffering from infertility. That number is going up. 20,000 children across this country are members of the state. That means they're not with a family. And the majority of those kids are over 10 years old. Those first years of your life, of your brain being developed, and anybody who has any neuroscience background knows this, your brain is a little Play-Doh and it gets mapped. And if you are not loved, or you are not attached, or you are in an environment that is not safe, that is going to cause long-term issues. And you have mental health issues, you might have addiction issues, you might have trouble with healthy relationships, all of these things that we've studied in our committee in FEWO. So imagine we have an equity bill that offers the same amount of EI benefits for adoptive and intended parents. It's a compassionate, common sense bill that I think can get support throughout this entire House. Now I'm going to go into some of the details of what the bill means. So up to 15 weeks of additional leave allows a parent to stay home to care for their child, bond, and form healthy attachments within the critical first year of their life or placement in a family. C-318 also recognizes the unique needs and complexities of attachment for adoptive families by better supporting healthy attachments, and it will, of course, improve long-term outcomes and strengthen families. Carolyn McLeod is a professor and chair of the Department of Philosophy at Western University, and she did a survey of 974 adoptive parents. She found that 94% of these parents with additional benefits would find it very beneficial, and roughly 75% said they did not have enough time to bond with their children. She states a significant portion of them said that the current benefit system was a barrier to them adopting a sibling group or children with complex needs. They didn't feel that they would have enough time with a child in those circumstances, so they simply did not choose to adopt a child in those circumstances. Every child and youth need time to adapt and adjust to their new family. Trust is the foundation for attachment. And many of these kids, as we've said earlier, who are over 10, are going to need that time desperately. because every person deserves to belong to a family, feel safe, and know that they have somebody who has their back. The Liberal government has long promised to deliver 15 additional weeks of parental leave for adoptive families, but they have repeatedly failed to deliver on that promise. Back in 2019, the Prime Minister campaigned on fixing this problem. Yet another broken promise. Despite overseeing the file and being mandated to fix this problem for 4 years, the former Minister of Employment, Workforce Development and Disability Inclusion would not commit to providing the necessary royal recommendation for this bill. It was within her mandate as minister to introduce a 15-week leave for adoptive parents. Most recently, the former minister publicly alluded to a benefit for adoptive parents included in the 2023 budget, yet when the budget was delivered, it was not there. I will give a call to action to everyone watching at home, because sometimes it just sounds like there's a lot of talk in this House and in this chamber. You can directly message the minister, and you can say, we need you to approve the royal recommendation, because if it doesn't happen, this bill dies. That's what needs to happen. That's what we're calling on today. We've heard from all parties, and they've given great speeches, and thank you to my colleague from the Bloc and to the NDP and the Liberals. They see the value in this bill. How can you not? But there has to be action attached to the words, or it's just empty promises. I want to read to you a lovely story from Kyla Bezarek. And she's gone through the process herself, and she stated, 35 weeks is simply not enough time for a youth like me to feel comfortable with an entirely different family, let alone build trust with these unknown parental figures. I believe we, who through no fault of our own have experienced significant losses, deserve equal, if not more time to heal and attach to our new family. These are the stories we need to hear, Mr. Speaker. And this is all you need to know to support my colleague from Battleford's Lloyd Minister's bill today. Canada is an outlier in not providing equal leave for all families. Now, if you look at comparator countries such as Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, they all provide equal leave to these families. Moreover, it's not going to be a huge cost burden. According to the PBO estimate, which is the Parliamentary Budget Officer for those watching, the proposed new EI attachment benefit for adoptive and intended parents will cost $88 million over 2023 to 2024 to 2027 to 2028. When we look at fiscal responsibility, Mr. Speaker, this is it. It's how money is spent. It's where it's directed. It's the return on investment. And I would challenge anyone in this House to tell me what better return on investment you have than building healthy families, than teaching children that they are loved, that they are supported, and helping parents not stress about being with their children when they need it most. Again, I will leave with this. I call on the Minister of Employment, Workforce and Development today to provide royal recommendation, because if they don't, this bill will die. And I encourage every single member in this House, let's start off this session showing Canadians that we mean what we say and we say what we mean, and we care about children and families in this country. And I want to congratulate my member on this bill, and I thank everyone for supporting Bill C-318. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Continuing debate with the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Slight